Hey, what's up guys? It's Texumer talking to you here, and today I want to cover the iPhone 6s in 2021 and how can this phone, a 7-year-old phone, be still supported by Apple 7 years later after it's released. But before I go into that and I explore this kind of old but interesting phone, roll the intro. So, the iPhone 6s in 2021, kind of strange to be talking about it because we thought that the iPhone 6s wouldn't be supported in 2021. But Apple just keeps surprising us, and 7 years later after this phone was released, which was in 2014 or 2015, this phone has just got another update, iOS 15. And this is kind of crazy because the iPhone 6s still has the A9 chip, a very slow chip that we can find in older iPads and the iPhone 6s. But Apple, just out of the blue, keeps surprising us with these new features. For you to have an idea of how old this iPhone is, the iPhone 6s was the responsible phone to introduce 3D touch. And this was kind of funny at the time because it was a revolutionary feature that was put on the iPhones until the iPhone XS, which was in 2018. So the iPhone 6s was the first to introduce that. But more than that, it was the first phone after the iPhone 6, which was a super cycle. The iPhone 6s stands where probably the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 12s will stand this year. After a major super cycle, Apple will have to do something to innovate, to make people to upgrade. So this iPhone 6s tried to correct some things that the iPhone 6 had, some problems that were huge. And you might remember the bandgate problem and the bandgate thing that was at the time where the iPhone could bend in half just by using a little bit of force. But this iPhone 6s chose to use much stronger materials, which made him very resistant to bending. And I think on bend tests, people weren't able to bend this phone without using major weights. So I think this phone corrected that problem, and it was never a problem ever again. The iPhone 6s was, in my opinion, what the iPhone 6 should have always had been. But it had another nice features, like the cameras were a bit better, and I don't know, it's a funny phone. It's the same design and you are used to it because in 2020 Apple released the phone with this same design, which was the iPhone SE. And the iPhone 6s features a lot of cool things that is still usable on 2021. And one of the biggest things about the iPhone 6s was it was the last iPhone to feature the headphone jack, because the next year Apple removed it from the iPhone 7. So if you want an iPhone that's still supported by Apple and still has an headphone jack, you have to go for the iPhone 6s. The design of this phone is, I must say, pretty incredible. The phone features a very curved back, just like the older iPhones, and it's quite amazing to hold. It's very comfortable. It almost feels like butter on your hands. The display on the front is 4.7 inches and it has big bezels. It's the same display as the iPhone 8, 7 and 6, and the iPhone 6s features those design too. But this phone, it came with space gray rose gold. It was the first rose gold phone to have that color, and it came on gold. This phone is amazing, beautiful and very nice to hold. While the camera bulb is very minimal, as you can see, it's very small. But at the time, we did not like it and we fought over it. But imagine now with the upcoming iPhone 13 with a huge camera bump. The display on this phone is kind of bad. By today's standards, this display is not bright enough, it's not colorful enough, and the LCD is very poor. It features a 60 Hz LCD, which in terms of that wouldn't be that bad, but the brightness is the biggest problem. When you turn it on, you have not that big of a brightness, and when outside you can see it much. But as you can see here, this phone still rocks iOS 15, and I have here my main page and my secondary page, which it's a major go. But as you can see right now, it's on full brightness, and it might look brighter here, but outside it doesn't look that bright. But this is display. It's okay for a 7 or 6-year-old phone, but today's standards it's not that usable. But there's a lot of people that use it and I trust them, and if you are one of those people, please, you still have 1 year support, and if you want to use the iPhone as your main iPhone, you are at your own will. It's a fun phone to use, but in my opinion, I think it's obsolete now. The main shooter, or the only lens, had 12 megapixels, but it's not that great. It's only a single camera, it's a wide camera, and it doesn't shoot 4K at 60. I don't think it shoots 4K either. I think only the 6S Plus shoots 4K. So I think this one shoots 1080p at 60 frames per second. This is the front video camera test for the iPhone 6S. How does the microphone sound, and what do you think of the quality? This is a test for the main camera of the iPhone 6S. What do you think of the quality, and what do you think of the microphone quality? Let me know on the comments down below. But it's still a great phone, still has good video. Well, good video for the time, because now it's very bad when compared to the recent phones. The camera is bad, it doesn't have that great of colors, even though when it has good lighting, the photos are bad, are just a little bit grainy, not as colorful as they should be. And as you can see here, at night it's pretty bad, and it's not bad, it's unusable, because this phone doesn't have any type of night mode technologies or stuff. Those didn't came until the iPhone 11 Pro. So the back camera, or the main camera, is very bad and is, in my opinion, not usable in 2021. But if you are using this phone, and you don't have any other phone, just use it. Use it until it dies and then buy another one. But this camera is not that great in 2021. While the front camera, it's even worse. I took some selfies and Jesus, those look grainy. They make me look bad on a photo, which I'm kidding, but they made me look like I was using a phone from 2015. But wait, I'm using a phone from 2015, so you must just expect the quality to be very poor. But in terms of the camera setup, it's a simple camera setup. It's not the best, but it's not potato quality, but in my opinion, it's not usable in 2020 and in 2021. So even though it has iOS 15, I wouldn't recommend it getting for its cameras. In terms of sound, this phone doesn't have the most powerful speakers or even the most powerful quality or bass. This phone sounds tinny, they are not very loud, and Apple improved the speakers a lot on the iPhone 7. So the jump from the iPhone 6S to the iPhone 7 was huge. So it's imagining that this iPhone sounds like crap, and it's very teeny, it's very quiet, and it's not that great in terms of speakers. But again, this phone costs around $100 on eBay used, so you cannot judge that. Finally, the thing I want to talk about is performance in terms of the A9. The A9 is a meh chip. It's an old chip. It's the oldest chip supported by Apple. And it's not that great because it's using iOS 15, but the iOS 15 runs using an older software behind. Like, it's iOS 15, has the same features as the iOS 15, but it has less features than the iPhone XS to the iPhone 12 because it doesn't feature the camera, it doesn't feature some features that those are exclusive to the newer iPhones, but it still runs this new software scheme, and it's kind of cool. And I think that if you are a person that enjoys using an iPhone, but you want to try to use an iPhone, you never used an iPhone before, and you don't want to spend a lot of money to try it out, I think buying the iPhone 6S is a good choice. If you buy it right now by $100 on eBay used, you can experience the iPhone ecosystem or the iPhone experience, or even use it as a second phone. But in my opinion, the iPhone 6S is usable with the iOS 15. It's actually pretty fast in terms of doesn't stutter while using the OS itself, but while using other apps like Instagram and games and Facebook or Twitter, it stutters a bit because their apps are becoming very, very heavy to this A9 and these 5 or 6-year-old processors. So the iPhone 6S is not a beast, and you cannot expect to play a lot of good and quality games. You just have to play those mediocre games, like those single taps or those very simple games, because the Call of Duties and, I don't know, PUBGs of their lives don't play here very nicely. the iPhone 6s on the iOS 15, as you can see here, it's pretty fast on the OS, but then again, it's just the OS which is optimized, but when you're using other apps, it becomes very slow. And like I'm showing you here, when I open Settings app, which is pretty fast, like I'm running it out, and you can see the phone doesn't stutter. But if I leave the settings and, I don't know, open the App Store, which is a very heavy app in terms of searching, you can see that it takes a lot to load. And if I tap games, and it takes a lot of time to load, and I then tap apps, and it takes another time to load, because this is a very slow app. And I have here Angry Birds, as you can see, and I'm just opening, and it just bugs out. Like, it's just bugging right now. And it takes a lot of time to get into it. And I don't know. This is not a gaming phone or a performance phone, and like, you know, new version available, okay. But this is not a very high performance phone. It's not a phone thought right now to be used for gaming, and just by using the OS and recording my screen, it's getting very hot. So the processor is probably at its maxed out capabilities. So in terms of performance, this phone is not the best. And if you want, just use it for one more year, because that's what it got. It's his last breath. This is 2021 will be, and iOS 15 will be the iPhone 6s's last breath. But then again, it only costs $100. So the iPhone 6s, pretty great phone for its time, but now it's getting old. It's 6 years old, and right now I wouldn't recommend it getting it, even though it only costs $100. But the thing is, if you have an iPhone 6s and you are using it right now for everyday life, and you don't want to spend any money on a phone, and it's still supported, so you are able to use it, I would say use it and then buy the iPhone 13. Or if you want to use it until the next year, which is 2022, it would take courage, but it's possible, because this phone will be supported until then. And then after that, we don't know its future. We thought it would die this year, so I'm not talking and I'm saying anything until we are confirmed that this phone is dead. But in my opinion, I don't think it will hold up one more year. It's getting very slow. It only has 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is not a lot. And it has the A9, which is a very old chip. So that's it for the iPhone 6s. I don't think it's a phone for a long time. If you buy it right now, expect it to get one more year out of it, not more. But when compared to other Android phones that are new or 1 year old, this is an amazing value, because you got just 6 or 7 years of support, and you paid $800, $900 at the time. Now, if you buy a $900 or $800 Android phone, you will get the same time of support that this phone will get until the end of its life, which is just ridiculous. So that proves the value of the iPhone. But this iPhone is getting old, and I don't think it's an alternative for 2021. But what are your thoughts? Leave your opinion down below and comment that, and give me your opinion, because it's important to have a talk. And don't forget to leave a like down below, it helps the channel to grow. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe. We are almost 120 subscribers. This is Textumer talking to you here. Bye.